Good evening, all. Epstein with your metal market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for Tuesday, and we're at the 13th of February, 2024, 5:55 p.m. Central Time, correction time. I'm not surprised. I made some statements, and I told people just recently, I said, we're overdue. You're going to lose a few bucks or more when markets make tops. The question is, what kind of top is it? And that was what we have to still answer. Let's take a look at something today. We had the CPI come out. It came out month over month, larger than expected. You could see the core came out larger than expected. In fact, all these numbers came out basically hotter than the market thought. The price increases were medicine, auto insurance, hospital stays. They all were up. And the shelter cost, they're not falling the way that people thought. And that's very important. So you put that together, the dollar takes off. If the dollar takes off, what takes place next? Metals typically go down. So that is something you got to think of. In the morning, you're going to get the Mortgage Bankers Association. They're going to come out with their market indices. And then, sorry, I got something in my eye right as I'm shooting. We have the API numbers this afternoon, and that was an increase of 8.5 million barrels. But you lost that if you look at the stocks and the distillates and gasoline. So I don't know that that's really that important right here, other than the fact of, say, we did put some barrels away in storage, but we're using it and taking it out in the use of the gasoline and the heating oil. All right. So as we come back to these markets and we look at the gold, one of the things we've been talking about is the market action. This was our first test that we just made. This is a weekly chart of the 18-week average of closes. We're down for the week, 1.6%. So here's your test coming in. You can see how the market fell apart, and today was a huge outside day to the downside. That is very important to understand. That is a signal the market's got a problem, but this all began back here. And this is so important to understand outside days, at least to me it is. When I go back and I do my analysis on charts, let's see if I get this to go back here, and I can. Here you go with a market that has an outside day up. If you haven't taken my outside day course, it's there on the website, irapstein.com, under the word education. Here's your outside day up. Outside days are often continuation patterns unless they're violated. So since the market had been coming up, I'm looking for a continuation. But what cannot happen is the lows. And this was the low of February 1st. If that is taken out within 2 trading sessions, you have what's called a bull trap. Market comes down, takes it out. Unless it goes right back over that top saying, hey, I got you, and then, no, I don't. What happens is the market starts on a correction mode. Now, where it goes and so on, I teach in the course. So I'm not going to give you the whole education. That's where it began. The flip-flop of it would be you have an outside day down. It's a continuation pattern to the downside. If today's high, which is Tuesday, and obviously we're already on Wednesday's action, but if today's high, Tuesday's high is taken out on Wednesday or Thursday, again, that would be a trap for the bears. It would be the exact flip-flop. Barring that, it's a continuation pattern. The market probably heading lower. Most of the times, it's a continuation pattern, but always beware that it could be the opposite. Where might this market be headed? Well, number one, we have been fighting a battle against the 18-day average of closes, and this is your first test of both the 200 and the 100-day, and you went through them like a knife going through butter. I mean, a hot knife. Whoa. So where's the Bollinger Band in this case? Right here. We closed under it, and now the market's going to fight to stay under it. Won't be the easiest task. But if you break out of this pattern, there's more downside left, and you have to ask yourself, well, how much? In my opinion, not as much as you might think. And that's because you're already oversold. Now, if you convert this to embedding, that's a whole different ballgame. But you're not even close to doing that. And when I look at the charts, I would guess that back here in the approximate 1975 area might be the next stopping spot if the market wants to just let go to the downside. I'm certainly not in the bull camp. The gold-silver ratio flip-flopped today, with gold gaining on the silver, and silver's gone right back down to the lower Bollinger Band, and like the gold market, exceptionally oversold. So you have a market that's been hugging back and forth, unable to go anywhere. In the copper market, it didn't participate in today's big drops, but don't know what that means. Remember, it's the lunar holiday in China. You're missing all the Chinese players in the market. The trend has been down. You have gone from the upper Bollinger Band when you were overbought to come out to the lower bands when you're oversold and not embedded. I think you're in the middle of no man's land in that market. And in the platinum market, well, we've been failing just where I had been talking to you about. Now, you are in oversold territory. You keep hitting the lower band. You're working your way down. What's working on these markets and hurting them is this chart. The dollar taking off to the upside. So prior to this, the market had been doing this. It had come up. The battleground was, and you saw me say this each day for the past week, the 100-day average to the upper Bollinger Band. You've stayed overbought. If that broke down, then I looked for support at the 18-day average. Do I have a trend there? Not really. What I have is the market with the swing line, lower highs, lower lows, but the bias is up since you're over that number. A son of a gun to try to catch. Today, what the market, let me come to today's action. Today, the market starts off, and the market's acting like, I'm going to come down until you got that 7:30 report on the CPI. The moment the CPI report came out, I watched my graphs and all. I'm going, this can't be good. And boom, away you went. Now, you're up to the upper Bollinger Band. The market has to make a decision here. If the market embeds, which it's nowhere near doing just yet, but if it decides to do that, both numbers today were over 80. So when it reopens, they're probably going to be stronger. It'll be day two. If it decides to embed, the 107 area is in play. Don't you kid yourself. That's very much in play if the market decides to do that. We have a dance coming. Tomorrow there's no real information, but we get PPI on Friday. You've got to pay attention to that. Then the market will look at the end of the month, and that's a long way off for the PCE numbers. That'll determine in traders' minds what the Fed will do. What the market ended up doing today is it took the probability of a May cut pretty much out of the picture. It's about 30% going home. It came in, it was up at one point to 60s. Boom, right on down. So June is what traders hope. And I'm going to repeat what I keep saying, and I've said it here over and over till I'm a broken record. Why is the Fed going to cut until we see unemployment drop and or the economy stumble? I don't see why they have to cut. And I feel so lonely because I keep saying it, and I seem to be the only one mentioning it of most of the analysts. You know, everybody, even today, no, you watch, the economy's going to slow. Well, that's the common thinking. Did you see that in the CPI numbers? Because if you did, you're the only one that did. The market came down. So what do you get out of this? Well, number one, learn how to work with outside days. They're a warning sign for you, and often a darn good one, I find. Nothing's perfect, but as charts go, when you put together the stochastics, the Bollinger Bands, outside days, you get a pretty good idea of a game plan you can work with. What's your best tool in a market like this? You get educated. Epstein.com and go to the word what? Education. The courses are right there for you to take. Take them, and then we'll have something to talk about. I'm Ira. I'm going to have a lot to say in the financial update, so be sure you watch that. Take care.